Good. So can you see my screen with Playground?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, that's another portal or platform OpenAI is offering. So what's the difference? The difference is that here in ChatGPT, you cannot make any specific settings or so. It is just that it is, which means you put in your questions or whatever you want to talk about, and then ChatGPT gives you an answer. Now here in Playground, you can customize it way more deeply, just the way you want it to be. So on the right-hand side, for instance, I can choose the model. So that the models they're having here are already focusing on different types of keywords, address corrections, and classifications. So I can gradually be way more specific what I'm expecting to do with ChatGPT. That's one way to do it. Then the other way is I can set temperatures and the maximum lengths of responses and sequences and so on. So that makes sense if you're going for your own application, let's say in sales or in customer service in real time. So then you want to use platform Playground and you don't want to use ChatGPT itself. So as you can see here, and when you can also switch to the mode, which gives you the option with chat or you insert or you want to edit stuff. So if you're a content creator, for instance, then you want to choose the edit mode or the insert mode. And then you can also share the results, what you came up with, and so on. So that is also a paid version, which means, but it's only the fraction pennies. So basically, to give an idea, when you get the prompt with like 1,000 or 2,000 words, so that costs you like $0.002. So it's almost nothing. That's why the paid version, there's a pay-as-you-go version, and they only charge you once a month because of that pricing. So it wouldn't make sense to do this in real time or upfront. So now let's go back to ChatGPT, what everyone is talking about. Now, here at the bottom, this is where you put in your prompt, and then ChatGPT, and then you press enter or you press that button over here, and then you get your reply from ChatGPT. As you can see on the left-hand side, I have already some chats here, what I did in the past. And to come up with some ideas, so for instance, if I want to create a marketing campaign, so what I did is I said, okay, ChatGPT, please give me ideas how to predict the outcome of our new marketing campaign. So now I put that in the chat, and then ChatGPT came up with some ideas how I can be more predictable in regards to marketing campaigns, meaning what should I pay attention to and what should I focus on. Now then I said, okay, that sounds good to me, but this is very broad. I want to be more specific. So by considering the above results, what are the most important KPIs that need to be tracked and measured? So that's one of the good things about ChatGPT. It's basically an ongoing conversation, and ChatGPT is able basically to remember what was the previous conversation, so what has been said so far, and then can continue with that part. So, and then when I did this, now ChatGPT came up with some KPIs I should be paying attention to be able to measure my marketing campaign results. So now I got here like 10 topics. And then I said, just as an example, how do I calculate the cost per acquisition for a new product that just got launched? Now, then ChatGPT gave me the formula and said, okay, this is how you do it, and so on. So now I could continue, keep asking questions in regards to that topic. I also want to give you another example. If you go on YouTube and someone uploaded their YouTube video, and now we're saying, okay, I want to get the summary of that. I don't want to watch the whole YouTube video because it's like, let's say, 2 hours long. So what you do is YouTube gives you for free the transcription. So you copy and paste the transcription here, and you say, well, at the beginning you say, can you summarize the TED Talk, Why Good Leaders Make You Feel Safe, for me, please? So then I copy the whole transcript here, and then obviously that's some space here. And then I got that quick summary of it. And then I said, sounds good. Can you go through the TED Talk, Why Good Leaders Make You Feel Safe, again, and structure your response in the following manner? So create a separate paragraph for each of the main topics, explain each topic in one paragraph, create a headline for each paragraph. And then obviously I got a different kind of outcome. I got the headlines and then a specific explanation of each topic of the YouTube video. So now I could just continue asking questions to narrow it down to the point where I wanted it to be. But what we do here is, so basically ChatGPT is happy to do whatever you want them to do, but you need to be the leader. So the more broad your question is at the top, the more broad the answer and the result you're getting. So, and the more specific you are, well, the better the outcome, or the more precise the outcome of what you want to accomplish. So that's why ChatGPT is a very powerful tool. But if you ask the wrong question, then your results are not as good as they could be. Or I'm not saying the wrong question. Let's put it that way. If you're not as detailed as possible, then the outcome is also very broad and not very narrowed down, if that makes sense. So another example was like this here. So when let's say I want to do SEO optimization for my YouTube video, and then I can say, okay, I had one already for my YouTube title, but please give me more options. So, and then obviously YouTube gives you some more options, and then you could take it from there and say, okay, I got 10 here. So which one do I like? Well, I could say this one sounds good to me. So then I could say, okay, continue with that one, but break it down more detailed and give me some subtitles and rephrase it in the way it sounds more catchy, it sounds more serious, it sounds more professional. So then I can twist it depending on my target market, because the message needs to resonate with your potential client or with your perfect niche client. And now I want to give you a totally different insight. So if you go into trading, so now I was saying, okay, how about trading? What are the 10 best machine learning techniques for stock prediction? Now, ChatGPT did the job and said, okay, here are the 10 popular machine learning techniques used for stock prediction. And I said, okay, that sounds good to me. And now I was saying, okay, show me a Python web example. Python is a programming language. I said, show me a Python web example of using a neural network to predict the price of Yahoo stock using scikit-learn and Keras. So now I got the code from ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is very powerful. So it does even do coding for you if you know how to do it. So I got the code for the application. Now, as you can see, if you know what you're talking about, then you can take it from there, and then you can narrow it down. You can say, is there a zero commission developer first API for stocks and crypto? And then ChatGPT right away gives me the answer, and then even can get me the link to it, which means I could take it further down and say, okay, please create the account for me. Here's the username and password I want to use for, and then it would take me there. Or I can say, now do this kind of coding for me. So ChatGPT would literally create code, software code for you. I did that here. No, that was not the one. Which one is it? Yeah, like here. I said to ChatGPT, please write a Python function to create a random password for me. So ChatGPT did that for me. So I got the code. And then I said, please rewrite the function and make it mandatory to use a special character. So now I got the updated version of my code. And what you need to, and then I said, okay, but I don't need Python. Please convert it to JavaScript. So for those of you, if you write code in one language and you want to convert that into a totally different language, that's a pain in the ass for most software developers because they're experts in one language, but not necessarily in the other one. But ChatGPT is capable of doing that right out of nowhere. So now I said, okay, please convert the code from Python to JavaScript. And a few seconds later, I got my code. So I can even click here and say copy code, and then go ahead, go open my browser and take it from there. Other stuff, I don't want to be too technical here, but the other stuff is books. So I said, okay, please summarize that book for me in bullet points. So let's say I don't have enough time to read the whole book right now, but I want to join a panel discussion or whatsoever, and I want to prepare myself for that session. So then I can say, okay, just summarize the book for me. What is the main message? So ChatGPT has full access to a ton of books. So in no time, I got my summary of that book. And now I can go ahead and say, okay, create a YouTube short script about the book and add a call to action at the end, inviting people to get a free book from Audible. So here for marketers or people who want to promote their business or their services, so you can do this now in no time, and we get all of that for free. So even without knowing what you're doing, almost. So basically, I got my whole script. I could now start recording that for my YouTube short, or let's say you go on TikTok or Instagram, and you got that. Now, go ahead and so on. So you get the point. Please create a script for a short video of 1 minute explaining the book. So ChatGPT narrows it down, and I get the whole structure, how to do that, and I just copy and paste it and say, hey, please record that for me. So I can do it for myself if I want to show my face and my voice on that video, or if someone on my team is doing that. So they have now everything they need. They don't need to know the book. They don't need to know anything. They can just create that video within a couple of seconds. So before this is going to be a monologue, is this helpful to you guys, or is this kind of boring, or are we on the right track?
This is great. I think AI is mind-blowing technology. This is awesome.
You're getting a lot of thumbs up, Conrad.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's very helpful. Just really kind of getting away from the abstract and looking at how it actually processes for those who haven't done any of it. Randy, did you have a question?
Yeah, and these maybe I really don't understand it, but Conrad, I had two questions. When you ask it a question, are you getting an answer or the right answer? That's question number one. And then when you're doing editor, is it consolidating existing content or creating new?
Okay, so question number one, um, you still need to do the homework, so you cannot just take it for granted.
Okay.
Whatever ChatGPT comes up with.
All right, that's fair.
So, and it depends on it. So ChatGPT is very powerful. So it is now, especially, it's now capable of passing exams. So you could get your university degree by using ChatGPT because all the answers are right. And you're not just getting through the exam, you would be like 9 out of 10, you would be in the 1% top range.
Wow.
Of the people who passed the exam. So in regards to those kind of questions, you can trust ChatGPT by 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Where ChatGPT is struggling with is, how should I say, it is when you bring in some kind of humor, sense of humor, or joking, or if you tell ChatGPT, I want to go on a travel trip and give me the best route and so on. Because the problem is when ChatGPT goes online and checks all the information that's out there in regards to that kind of stuff, ChatGPT cannot verify if this is true or not. So
Okay.
you may end up with the wrong journey description because ChatGPT is not able to verify if let's say the flight from Chicago to Tampa, is this really a 2 hours flight or if this is a 1 day flight.
Right.
So ChatGPT cannot justify that one.
Okay,
And
so it can't sense subtle nuances that the human brain can.
Correct. At this stage,
Okay,
ChatGPT,
that's fair.
So that the new version ChatGPT 4, that is already more powerful.
Awesome.
Bernie, did you have? So we got that. So Bernie, did you have a question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. A comment, and that is that ChatGPT passed the bar exam. Okay, I read that in the news. And secondly, are coders obsolete now because I don't need to know a programming language? I can ask ChatGPT to code for me.
Right.
Yes, that's correct. Up to a certain degree, because, well, when it comes to testing and so on, then you might be out of business. Well, then you might be overwhelmed because you might not know exactly how to solve the issue. But up to a certain degree, I would say all workflow kind of stuff, automation, ChatGPT is your solution for that. So because you can do it by yourself and take it from there.
So as an employer of programmers, I really need code testers, and not necessarily code writers.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to Zip. I think you had your hand up first. Go ahead. Got to unmute. Nope, you're still lips are moving, but we can't hear. Zip, I think you need to go out and come back in. Vinny, go ahead.
All right, so I had a question about the sandbox because I have the paid version, but I'm not familiar with how to get to the sandbox. And I know I've seen it the last time in your other presentation. And then I have another question.
You mean the playground?
Yeah.
No. So are you talking about the paid version where you pay $20 per month, or are you talking about the pay-as-you-go paid version?
I paid the $20.
Okay, so the $20 version is still the same here. So because what it does is when you here basically on the left-hand side, I could go here and click on upgrade to plus, and then it takes me to the page where I sign up for and pay every month $20. That's all you need to do. The difference between that free version here and the paid version is that ChatGPT guarantees you that you can use the platform at any time, because so many people are using it. So sometimes they just say you cannot log in, or we're out of capacity. And the only difference that it makes when you pay for it is that they guarantee you your spot.
No, I understand that, but you've showed us the playground. So can I get to that or no?
Oh yes, you can. You can go to that one, which is you put in platform.openai.com.
Okay, so that's a different. All right, and that if I do that and I change the sort of personality like you showed us, then when I go to the regular platform, it'll understand and know it.
Yeah, so you can do everything here. So instead of putting my question, everything in that field, I go here and do the same in that field. And then I press the submit button here. That's the difference.
Okay, I'm just writing that down. Okay.
And then there's also, well, again, everything goes here very fast. So whenever they add new stuff, especially this is what I'm showing you here is ChatGPT 3.5. So the new version ChatGPT 4 has even more functionality at this stage. But as you can see here, even in the playground version, it has this microphone. What that means is I can just dictate what I want them to do. So even when I'm driving or doing something, I don't need to type it out. I can just speak.
Okay, and actually you segued nicely to my next question, which was that since I have the paid version at the $20 a month level, am I automatically getting version 4?
Yes, but you need to apply for it. So it's not automatically, because again, ChatGPT, so Microsoft basically is saying, again, we need to upgrade and update our servers first. And what we do is we give access to ChatGPT 4 to the developers who are willing to develop applications. So they call the plugins. So basically, how that looks like is that even here you can add plugins now. So basically, at the back end, ChatGPT is running, but at the front end, you as a software developer, you can put on your own device and your own interface and your own user interface. And Microsoft or OpenAI gives those software developers access first because they pay for that. So Microsoft, OpenAI makes more money with that, and it gives everyone more leverage effect. So, but again, you can sign up for, and then as it goes, then you get access to ChatGPT 4.
Okay, so I think I remember doing that. And also when I went to Edge, I think it was Edge, there's another window on the right-hand side that is based on ChatGPT, and I guess that's related to the version 4. I don't like the way it works, but I'll stick with GPT.
Good point. So good point. Well, as you may know, Microsoft invested $10 billion in OpenAI, so they leverage it the most, and that means in Microsoft Edge, which is, well, Microsoft browser, internet browser, they added already ChatGPT to it, which is free for everyone there. Why does Microsoft do that? Because they want to win finally the battle again against Google. Because, well, as everyone knows, Google owns the search engine, and that's why the product from Microsoft is Bing, but Bing was never as successful as Google is. So, but with ChatGPT now, Microsoft has a huge opportunity to become number one again, and they do as much as they can to win that battle. Because, well, that's a multi-billion-dollar product. What we're talking about here. So that's why. So, and for those who don't know, Microsoft Edge is based on Google Chrome. So all the extensions you're using in Google Chrome, you can use them also on Microsoft Edge.
Okay, let me bring in Tony. You had your hand up. Do you want to unmute?
Yeah. I also got the paid version too, and appreciate Conrad. This is really helpful stuff. they do offer me access to the version 4 if I on the paid version. But in the playground, I think it's up to 3.5 version. And my question, Conrad, for the playground, so is that the playground is more for creating an API so you could use that for like your company or your website? Is that mainly what the playground is more for versus the regular ChatGPT?
Yeah, well, again, it depends what you want. So when we go to playground here, then yes, it gives me API references. So if I want to develop my own app, but if even let's say I'm just a marketer, I don't want to do software coding and stuff like that, but I'm a copywriter, so the text I'm getting from ChatGPT needs to sound more related to my perfect client. So here in Playground, I really can customize it here with the temperature and with the lengths and everything. And even when you scroll down, then you get even more features. So I can really be very specific and say this has to be written and like it should sound funny but not too funny, and so on and so forth. So I really can granularly specify the type of content I'm wanting to get back from ChatGPT.
So,
well, sorry,
Conrad,
not from ChatGPT, from Playground.
Yeah, from Playground. But let me ask this question, because this is kind of my category of dumb question. What does temperature mean?
So that's the point. So let's go back here. So when you go here to so here you can see what they're saying. So it means the lowering results and less random completions. So the model will become deterministic and repetitive. So you don't need to touch it per se. You can just use it as it is. But to be more precise, this way you can play around with it and go from 0.2 up to 1 up to 1. If that makes sense somehow.
Yeah, that makes. I understand that. Yeah.
So let me just be really for clarity's sake. So when you increase the temperature, does that reduce the amount of options, or is it the other way?
Yeah, that when you increase it, then yes, it's more precise and more specific.
Okay, all right. That's that. I'm just kind of getting to the dumb question level, because again, terminology, having worked with technical people that understand things.
No, sure.
Yeah, it tends to be divisive in that some people, it makes the person that knows it feel smart, but it makes a person like me that doesn't feel really dumb. So, so anyway, Randy, did you have a question?
Yeah, this may be, keep in mind, I'm on the low end of the knowledge base here, but who controls what I will call the integrity of the content and responses? It seems like this is so open that I'm working on a project and I ask a question to give me more credibility. How do I know that someone just hasn't inserted some spurious response or content?
Okay, good question. So at this stage, and as far as I'm concerned, for the rest of it, it is OpenAI who controls it, because they feed the database behind it. So, and that's why at this moment, ChatGPT-4 has all the knowledge of 2021.
Okay.
And well, they keep feeding it, obviously, but so they're using serious sources like Wikipedia.
Right.
So Wikipedia is supposed to be legit. But at the same time, you could go on Wikipedia and publish your own stuff and putting some stupid stuff into it. So then this way you could, if nobody is calling you out and saying, hey, Randy, this is not true what you're putting on Wikipedia, you need to remove this. If you would not do that, and ChatGPT gets access to that, then yes, then it would spread the wrong, the wrong logic or the truth. But that's why, again, and by the way, it is Elon Musk who put that together with some other people back in 2017, because his concern was that AI already exists, but only certain people have access to it.
Right.
And if we don't open that up, then we basically, our society gets classified in you know, and sorted automatically. That's why he put that company together with other people, and they invented and started and funded OpenAI back then in 2017.
That's good answer. So I guess it just for me, in all things, check your work and read what's been written and make sure it makes sense to you first.
Yes, always. So, yeah, that's a simple answer. The answer is always. But again, you get to a high level degree that it is accurate and correct. However, we're talking about IT, meaning all this stuff is on servers, meaning someone could hack into it and could manipulate the whole thing.
Okay, so take nothing for granted.
Yeah, that's unfortunately true for the rest of our whole world.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually used to say, and this is, I've been dealing with technology, so for years, like 45 years, right? So this was back way before ChatGPT. I said, okay, so this particular system or application is not idiot proof. Therefore, do not let an idiot use the output of this system until you've filtered it through a few brain cells.
Absolutely.
So I would say that this is a rule. If you're not applying this rule, then you are the person.
Right.
You particularly put your name in it. You are the person that the government is trying to protect against disinformation, because you're not filtering it through some brain cells. And I don't care how smart you think the source is, ChatGPT or Wikipedia, which again is people putting information in that is not necessarily. Or were you leaving, Bernie, or did you have a question?
I have a question.
So it's the old buyer beware, David, right?
Yes. Okay. Speaking of, no, I'm not talking when I said idiots. I wasn't referring to you, Bernie. So go ahead.
If the shoe fits, wear it.
It depends on the day of the week.
Go ahead, Bernie.
Okay, my question is, who owns the lion's share of the investment market in this particular product?
Can you repeat the first part again, please?
Okay.
Who owns?
This is called ChatGPT, and I assume that there's some investment options out there. Where is the lion's share of the investment market?
Okay, but like I said, back then, Elon Musk was a co-founder of it, so he's not a shareholder anymore. Now, the main driver of all that stuff is Microsoft. That's why they invested $10 billion. OpenAI at this point is not listed on the stock market. So you would have to reach out to the shareholders if you want to get a piece of the shares. And if they're willing to sell, then yes, you can. But there is no reason why they would do this, because the valuation is now $100 billion and beyond. So, just why would they sell anything? And the prices are going up. So ChatGPT is now more expensive than ChatGPT 4. is now more expensive than ChatGPT 3 and 3.5 because of the added value, because ChatGPT 4 can now also handle videos and audio files for you. And you can also feed ChatGPT 4 with your own databases.
Awesome.
So when you have your own sources, let's say you have, I guess it was last time no, that was our other call. So someone asked and said, I have a library of authors and stuff, but that does not have been published anywhere. We own it and we have it. So what can we do? So now with ChatGPT 4, they can just put in the link to their own archives and databases, and then ChatGPT can go through their archives and databases and use their content, and then they can even tell ChatGPT to ignore everything else out there and only focus on their own archives and their own databases.
So they could have proprietary content that's not shared with the world.
Correct.
Okay.
Excuse me just for a second, gentlemen. Conrad, perhaps maybe stop screen sharing right now unless you're done. Maybe they can come to our April event to see more examples coming up. And if somebody would pin the link, I put it in the chat, the link for the next April event. I don't know if you can pin two things or not. But I also put in there, David, the link for the results in 22 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to feature right now. I'm featuring the link. Okay, Laura, hold on.
Thank you.
So I'm featuring the link for the next ChatGPT free event that MoreValueNOW is putting on, Laura Lee, and so on. So that's the link. So if as you see it on the screen there, click on that link. It'll have a tab in your browser. You can go back to it and do whatever you want to with it. Okay, now I'm going to feature the other.
One more thing, David. So what we do every month ChatGPT session at MoreValueNOW, which is free to participate. So we do a different topic every month. So the topic in April will be how to get your 6-figure business to 7-figure just by using ChatGPT, and I will give insights how we would do this and how we help our clients using ChatGPT to leverage their business and their profit margins and their revenue streams. So that's the topic of the session in April. So happy to have you there.
Excellent.
Okay, so that is the link there. And then the other link that Laura mentioned that we featured last time was this link, which is basically taking you to, if you want to work with MoreValueNOW, that team to help you with 22 minutes, unlimited access. I think I'm not saying exactly, but just give you that kind of support. This is a link, and the only thing I would say is we have a discount to that $19.97 if you put in Vision Warrior, which is my code. You get a $700 discount on that. So if you decide to go to that route, don't be foolish. Go ahead and put that link in there so you can get the discount. So that's the links that give you some additional follow-on, specifically with MoreValueNOW. For those that are regular participants in this mastermind, as we find useful resources and things that can help us ongoing or help other people who may not be here in this particular mastermind, we will continue to come back to those, and we will help people along the way, maybe get plugged in later, on down the road, that may not have been here today. So I'm all about, having people act and do things quickly, or do things and not procrastinate, because we all do too much of that. So that's the case. But I also want you to get to a point where you're inspired to do something and you see the value of that and how it can help you and your business move forward. And we always want to make sure we do that. So that's some clarification there. Again, I do want to Zip, did you have a comment or question?
Well, yeah, I have one 3 months ago, and now it might be 4 months ago. Somebody typed in, this thing's always learning. Okay, some of them may be good, some of them may be bad. 4 months ago, they typed in woman, and they gave a good description of a woman. 4 months, and now today you type in woman, and it starts to mention transgender and doesn't really say female anymore. So to Randy's thing, you better watch. This thing's constantly learning, so you need to watch what people are putting in, because it's more people put in more wrong information.
Right. Yeah, it's back to the buyer beware, Zip.
Right.
Back to the filtering it through a few brain cells. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
If you start going down those rabbit holes of things, you need to just figure out how tolerant you want to be of groupthink or whatever. So, I mean, again, I think those are kinds of things that, again, require us to filter through our own brain cells. Vinny, did you have a comment?
I have a question, one more too.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Okay, so you want to try to write a program to learn programming through this, or do programming, and Bernie says we won't need programmers, but if you have to keep typing into the chat to try to figure out what you want to program, wouldn't a programmer do it faster for you?
Well, all I can tell you is my answer to that would be, with a very limited amount of experience, is it comes back with answers way faster than and structured in a way that I can't. So I think there's some smart programmers,
right?
But I would say I would be hard pressed to believe that. And I've worked with a lot of programmers, by the way, over the years, working as a partner at Accenture. So and I'm not dissing programmers. I'm just saying, the basic stuff. I could give you a lesson there about your own trade and your own personal value, and how you need to not create dependency, but create people who are going down the road with you, getting smarter as they go. Because if you're depending on people to be dumb, you've always got to go get new dumb people. But anyway, so Vinny, I called on you already, and I'll be follow-on's okay. We've got a few more minutes, so go ahead, Vinny.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I have asked ChatGPT if I can give it some information that it would learn by, and it said, well, I can't do certain things, but I'll throw it in the database. So that's something that we might be able to contribute to the system. And also, I've asked it to just go to this one source, so summarize or get me data, but base it only on this one website, and I've been successful with that as well. And then the last piece of it is, I've been using, if I write HTML, for instance, there's programs out there which are AI, and it'll correct it for me. So I think in terms of the programmers, no matter which way we go, I think that this is valuable to them, because they're not necessarily perfect, and they say, here's my code, did I do something wrong, and whatever. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Any other, Robbie D, go ahead.
I've been following this mutual fund run by Watson. What is the difference between Watson stock picking and OpenAI stock picking?
I have no idea. Conrad, do you have an answer?
What was it? The difference between OpenAI and
OpenAI and Watson. Using Watson.
The big IBM computer that's now managing mutual funds.
Yeah, so IBM started Watson, I guess, 20 years ago or so. And so Watson was back then developed or invented to focus more on voice recognition, and with the back end of a huge database, big data database. But the problem with the IBM is that they are great when it comes to technology, but for some reason they always miss the point how to market it. So that was all. It was the same when they had their own operating system back then.
Yep.
In the 90s. So everyone knew it's way better than Windows. But somehow they were not able to market it and to come up with the hardware in the way that it was really attractive. And that's the same with Watson. So Watson, when I was at the university, some of my professors, because one of my professors was in banking, and we were working with IBM and some banks to do voice recognition already like 25 years ago, to make it more safe when people were calling the banks. And then IBM was literally the first in the world who was working on a project how to identify your voice in a unique way to make sure nobody else is saying this is you. So that was 25 years ago. And we helped IBM to make it work. And that was back in Germany. But somehow IBM missed the point to sell the product.
Right.
And so I don't know what they are doing or what they are thinking. I know what they're doing, but I don't know what they're thinking. And now it's a similar situation with Watson at this level, like 20 years later, and OpenAI. So I do believe IBM has the capacity and the resources and everything you can think of, but for some reason they are not marketing it the way that the whole world says, wow, that's what I need.
Okay. So
I think it's called ego.
Yeah, and sometimes too, when he commented a little bit about it being mutual funds. There's always a cost of buying a particular product. So depending on if it's mutual funds, there's costs there for the buyer, plus the cost to pay the representative to look after it. Or if you're going directly to buy shares, then you have a stockbroker. I never worked as a stockbroker. I had the Canadian Securities Course designation, but I never wanted to work in that field. I did it to understand and to be able to give my clients some quick knowledge or advice on whether or not is it a good time tax-wise to sell all of your funds, or do you sell half of it and spread out the tax implication from one year to the next? Like one client, I told him that, and he saved over $60,000 in a 2-minute conversation because he was going to sell all his particular stocks before Christmas. I said, no, sell half before Christmas, the other half January 2nd. You'll save yourself a ton of taxes. And that's, to me, that's a big deal, to save yourself on taxes. You're not doing anything illegal. You're using the tax system to your advantage. So sometimes it's the cost of doing where you're buying the product itself. If you're doing it yourself online, then you might not have those extra costs. I don't know how you do you buy shares it's yourself.
I spent 25 years as a broker.
Oh, well, then you're fine.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how I can use AI to make better investment decisions.
There you go.
Yeah, well,
At Watson,
so we can
AI. Well,
yeah. So if that's a challenge, then yes, we would have to talk about what sources you're using to make that kind of decision, and then we will have to talk about how to put those sources together, and then you can ask the questions. And I shared earlier today that the script I put in for trading, I did that in 10 minutes. So, if you spend a couple of days, a couple of weeks on that, then you or we together can definitely come up with a solution and a package that at least assists you. You still would have to verify the outcome, but at least you will have in a few seconds a result on your mirror, on your screen, where you can say, right, that's how I do it.
all right.
Bernie, did you have a question?
Yeah, but it also dawned on me that all this Q&A could have been answered by ChatGPT.
Well, the interesting thing, it's interesting that you should say that, Bernie, because before you got on in the beginning, and again, this is full transparencies, right? So I had reached out to Laura Lee. We were on another Saturday training, and I said, we're going to revisit ChatGPT. Are you available, or can you? And she said, sure. So I said, okay, well, if she said sure, she'll probably be here, or Conrad or somebody, but I wasn't 100% sure. And I'm what I call a belt and suspenders kind of guy. So I don't want my pants to fall down in the middle of our mastermind. So this morning, before we were starting, I was asking ChatGPT questions about, how would I introduce ChatGPT? How would I go through it? And ChatGPT, actually, I was sharing this with Randy, laid out the presentation,
right,
what I should do to do the presentation, what kind of information I should cover. And I was starting to go through, okay, so if I'm going to cover that, answer this question. If I'm going to cover that, answer. I could have created, with a little bit of time, an entire introductory discussion around ChatGPT and the application of same without, I mean, at least as ChatGPT saw ChatGPT, I could have presented that. Now, it is a interesting thing. So I'm sorry, Bernie, go ahead. So did you have a question with that, or?
Your commentary was spot on, but my question was, the skill set, if I wanted to hire a skill set to set GPT in my business, how would I, what skill set would I be looking for?
Well, as mentioned last time, so you might want to go for someone who is an expert as a researcher. But again, the question is more about, what do you want to accomplish? What's the goal? What's the result you're looking for? Because hiring someone nowadays is pretty expensive.
right.
And so, for instance, because that's, at least that's my prediction, the whole thing our whole the pricing system needs to be readjusted, because when you have tools like ChatGPT and OpenAI and AI tools, so it's not about time anymore, it's about valuation. So what's the value? So, and before you hire someone and you said, let's say you pay $5,000 per month total cost, so we're talking about $60,000 per year, or maybe even more. So if you send me an email and say, hey, Conrad, I have this journey, I have this challenge, can you solve the problem for me, and how much would you charge me for that? And you do this only when you really need it. So chances are you get it more accurate, because we're doing this for other people, and you might get it, you just pay when you need it, and you might get it 1 hour later, and you just pay whatever it is, but you don't pay $60,000 for sure for a year, no matter if you need that person or not, if that makes sense.
So ChatGPT can be my virtual consultant on demand, right? I mean, I don't need to hire anybody necessarily.
Correct.
Wow.
So ChatGPT,
To the extent that you can understand, comprehend, and apply what ChatGPT provides to you.
Right.
Right. So, and that's why, so it will change, because it's not about cost pricing in our future. It's all about what's the value, and
right.
how critical and crucial is it to your business. So that's because, again, ChatGPT gives you the answer in a couple of seconds.
Right.
So it's not that, oh, we need to work on that for 2 days. No, you get it in 10 seconds. So what's the value? What's the price for that? So that's one of the challenging questions in the near future for service-oriented businesses. Because again, the software developer, they were saying, "Oh, I need to code 5 days," and now all of a sudden, it's done in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So the software developer was like, "Okay, I want to make 5K per month, so I break it down. So that means I charge per hour $100 whatsoever." So now if he goes with the same model and now he needed only 2 hours, so what's the consequence? He's charging $200. In the past, he was charging 1,500. Would that work? No, it would not work.
No, nobody will buy them.
So we've got to, so there's a whole bunch of considerations, Bernie, when you get into it. The thing that I just find absolutely fascinating here, and why by the way, we are now getting ready to land the plane.
Right.
So Conrad, thank you for sharing with us. Laura Lee, again, thank you for coming to the party. I kind of expected you to have to bail on us, but I'm glad you're still here, Laura Lee. And all I can tell you guys is I'm fascinated by this, and I can see a lot of application here. So this is not going to be the end of our mastermind talking around how to, I still go back to, and again, I think we're very aligned here with Laura Lee and Conrad in terms of the whole more value now concept, looking at terms, looking at time, energy, relationships, money, and systems. And this is, fundamental, if you will, to the conduct of our ongoing mastermind. I'm not trying to duplicate or reinvent anything that Laura Lee and Conrad are already way down the road on. I would consider this, what we're doing here, as synergistic, and it's an opportunity. And hopefully those of us that are either on this mastermind or those that are reviewing the video of this as we go forward, I want you to do one thing. Think about this. Think about the fact that if you're in networking, if you are in our warrior networking community, and you truly are trying to grow your business and grow your understanding and grow the impact you can have on our networking community, then you need to be part of this mastermind. You need to be engaging with us, because that's the whole purpose of what we're doing here, is we are here to grow. And if you're not growing in your life, I don't mean just in your business, if you're not growing in your relationships, in your money, in increasing your energy you can apply to things, looking at how to free up time and do those things, then frankly, you're leaving money on the table. You're leaving value on the table. And I like the name that the Laura Lee and Conrad have come up with, or they've come up with, is called MoreValueNOW. I think everybody's kind of tuned into that channel, right?
Yep. Amen.
As I say,
did AI come up with that, or did you come up with that?
No, they came up with this. This is. I don't know. Conrad, did you use ChatGPT to come up with your name, or did you? What did you got?
No.
How did you come up with MoreValueNOW?
No, well, I created More Value. So at first it was More Value, and I created that like 3 years ago. And that's the same when I created Mind Reframing like 12 years ago. So my job is to create strategies for my clients, and I have to do what I teach my clients for myself. So I need to be ahead of the game, otherwise it would be worthless to hire us. And I was thinking, so everyone is talking about value, we need to produce value. So, and then I was like, okay, so what's the next level of value? Well, it's more value. And then when we started working together, then it was also that one of the things I was talking about, that only 3% of the people you're talking to are ready to buy now. So, and you want to be focused on your audience. You want to be focused on the people who are ready to buy from you now. And then that's how I put the pieces together. So you want to produce value. You want to stand out from your competitors, which means you want to produce more value, and you want to do it now and not tomorrow, not next year. And you want that your people are buying now. So that's how I said, okay, if you put that together as a USP, then you end up with MoreValueNOW.com. So that basically is the story.
Amen. That's great. Great story.
Thank you.
David, you've gone mute. Still.
I had muted myself
you
because my niece was screaming in the background.
Oh,
So if you heard any kind of hollering, that was on this
Missed
end.
it
So
all.
anyway, we're at 11 o'clock. So at 1 o'clock, I'm used to our 11:30 start time. So again, thank you guys for sharing with us. For those that are part of our Wednesday, and by the way, everybody here is invited to join us using the same link virtually. We have a more traditional networking group on Wednesdays where we'll probably have about 30